Right. Recording and transcribing has started. So welcome to this Global Conversation Club, the joint venture, the tariff-free think tank organised between my good self and the College of Performance Management under the supreme management talent of Becky Winston, who's here with us. And like to welcome tonight Darrell Mesa,
Mesa.
Yes,
Mesa, who is going to be talking to us with the working title, How Project Managers Can Use AI Without Losing Human Judgment. Very important, data integrity, cyber resilience or governance. So we can't have the lunatics taking over the asylum. We've got to have human control still. Darrell, I believe, is very strong in the field of AI. It says here, an independent builder, researcher, and practitioner working at the intersection of artificial intelligence and project management, if there is such a place. Through his public GitHub presence, AI and PM, he has positioned his work around a clear mission, influencing AI in project management. And again, I think in order to be able to do better with project management, then we have to be able to master and control what tool set we are using by fully understanding it and using it to its best purpose. So without further ado, I would like to welcome, I was going to say Darren again, Darrell, to take the floor. Feel free, I hope, to put your hand up and ask questions if you want to. Do bear in mind that we are recording this session, so it should be available within a few days, subject to Darren's editorial view on what we can do with it.
Or Darrell's,
we'll release it. Yeah. So has anybody got their hand up? Don't think they have. No. So the floor is yours, Darrell. Welcome.
Thank you. But before we begin, I wanted to say hot potato and send the floor to Becky. Becky, may you give like a 1-minute speech of CPM and how this all came about as far as AI and PM and how we're doing this?
The College of Performance Management has had some interest in AI, and I've been working with Darrell for, almost 2 years now on the topic of AI. And I know Jody has worked with him some, and another individual, Dr. Josh Ramirez, has worked with him. So there's quite a group of individuals with an interest in this. And then there are several others globally that we've worked with on the topic, and we've written several articles together that have appeared in PM World. So as CPM's just thrilled to have Darrell present, and also to let you know he's also a VP with the organization. So I appreciate Darrell taking time away from his busy schedule, which involves a lot of AI development. Darrell?
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Steve. Welcome, everybody. So big thank you to the both of you. And a big thank you to everybody who's online attending right now and whoever is watching this in the near future. So to break the ice, as you can see, I'm a young person, young human being. And why am I presenting this to a lot of folks out there that are senior level, C-suites and so forth? It's because I have the opportunity to, in regards to my journey and my work with AI and PM in PTSD and autism at this time. Like what Steve said, I have an open repository filled with open source code of what I've been building day to day in regards to project management, PTSD, and so forth. So what brings me here is to open that dialogue of having a discussion of AI and project management. I know LinkedIn is filled with that stuff. So much that we don't understand. We understand whether it's fake or not, but we cannot dissect or separate the BS from the truth. And as a young person, I would want to take a step out and say, hey, we're all here together. AI is being encouraged to both personal and professional. So it's all around us and it's here to stay. Um, Throughout my journey with AI and project management, PTSD, and autism, why I keep mentioning PTSD and autism is because project management is 90% communication. It's 90% of communication. So to be an effective communicator, which I still learn today, you have to understand who you are. That means your mental well-being and who you are as a person. So PTSD, I'm clinically diagnosed with PTSD as a Marine veteran. But I will discuss that later. But it connects with what I do in my current work at AI and PM. So throughout the time, um, like what all stories come about, I started to venture in AI when ChatGPT opened and published in November 2022. Um, my journey has been very different from the rest of the crowd. I try to observe the crowd and then do something different because of PTSD and autism and project management. They're three narrow domains as we talk about this. So don't think of me as the blue pill. Think of me as someone who's really living AI in project management, PTSD, and autism in the real world. My goal is to take AI and validate, have it be trusted, have it be reliable in the real world. Because if I have to trust an AI agent or machine to do critical decisions on my behalf, especially on real world data, I need to be able to trust it just like a new employee. So I know I've been going on in this intro, but I wanted to just put a plug out there, Steve, and just make that announcement of how I came to be and where I'm at now. So in 2022 through 2023, 24, I was independent R&D. I would post out GitHub repositories on AI and PM, and I built an AI agent named Adam. Now, Adam was a thought experiment, and I took Adam and I started create its first AI agent ecosystem back in 2024. So I already knew where AI was going in regards to following the AI community and so forth. AI agents were still taboo at the time in 2024. If you talk about it, you get shamed. Now it's all around us. Pretty much everything that we do that's pretty much electrified. So Adam was built to take a thought experiment with a team of 10 AI agents and work with me to take 3 NASA astronauts and 3 SpaceX astronauts to travel from here to Mars. And the goal was to land in Mars in August 2025. So this thought experiment has been going on. We actually put a break into it to where the AI agents were able to fire each other, promote each other, pay each other. I included the Department of Energy's IPM2 meter with ASU. So that also was that factor in the equation. I could definitely send a link out to you guys as far as the case study. So I could not do this alone. I needed, actually, we're wired for human connection, community. It takes a village to build something. I started searching, asking around, and I found 2 people that would actually sit down and take my gibberish of AI and project management. And I started to realize that their work was directly connected to what I do for all 3 narrow domains. So I started to understand their work, their vision of where AI is going to, and from there I partnered with them and we started building out Sarah under Naviq AI. So anything that I build right now for AI and PM is integrated into Naviq, and I can definitely send you then the link for Naviq. So any questions so far? I know I rambled this whole intro like crazy, but Any questions?
Yeah, Darrell, you might mention the two people that you've been working with to give them credit for supporting you.
Yes, yourself, Becky, and also Ivano. I'm going to butcher his last name, Becky, and also Claudia. I forgot her last name, but I know she'll probably listen. Yes, yes.
And it's Ivana Di Fliptio. So, yeah, very supportive.
And with that collaboration, I started to understand that AI and project management, it's really kind of taboo because it deals with a lot of avenues. You're dealing with HR, people, business, everything that you can think of, project management is tied to it. So it was a really tough shell to crack because IP now is more valuable than knowledge, in my opinion. So move on to the next slide. So why this topic? So AI has been, of course, adopted now in project management. Right now, we're still at the basics. It's having us be able to digest PDFs at a simpler term, and it's still trying to understand more complex terms. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or tell you it's a magic trick. AI has flaws, and AI is still continuing to grow. So the AI hype is pretty much overhyped, and my goal every day is to prove the AI hype, as what you see on many YouTube channels and so forth. So I'm kind of really an off the wall type of AI influencer, entrepreneur, if you put it that way, when it comes to these narrow domains. So AI is a tool. It's not a living entity. And I understand that, and I'm not forced to, but I'm obligated for myself as a human being to know that it's still a tool. Because PTSD and my son who has autism, they can play tricks on so many different ways of the mind. So I have to really practice and apply that AI is still a tool. Even though it's giving me the correct answers of what I want to see and read and hear now, and it's getting really human-like, I have to really sit down and really get back to reality. Just the same way I like cope with PTSD and getting out of the flashbacks and so forth. So right now, the critical gap right now is governance. We're implementing AI, but we're not applying governance. And when I say governance, I come from a very, I guess, junior to intermediate. The way I see myself, I'm still a student in this environment. Anybody out there has way more accolades than me. And right now, I'm not here to lecture or provide requirements. I'm here to share knowledge and provide any insights of my work with this AI and PM domain. So where I found the gaps is governance. So the key areas that I wanted to focus on are forecasting, scheduling, risk analysis, status reporting, and stakeholder communications. So all that in real time is really hindering the entire project management body of knowledge um, on the sixth and seventh edition when you apply into the real world. Um, and we don't really talk about that. We talk about it behind the scenes, but we don't openly talk about it like we invent a new project schedule or new software when it comes to project management. We really hide it behind a table, and we tend to really make sure that it's really accurate. And that's why most project management software companies don't really have an accurate tool, an AI tool out there that can really change the entire industry for project management. I may be wrong, but raise your hands out there if you have a project management AI agent that can actually be trustworthy and be reliable when it comes to real world data, especially in a huge project. I take that as a no, which is pretty good, and which is pretty accurate to where how we can compare the AI hype of frontier AI companies to the real world knowledge of AI and implementing AI. AI has been around since the 1950s. Believe it or not, it actually started by DARPA, by the US government. So everything that we do, anything that we touch electronically, was actually made by the US government in that way. So the US government has been on AI for quite some time, but we could definitely table that later. So as you see there, traditional project controls, and when I say project controls, I'm focusing more on the control piece. Like what Steve said and Becky, human in the loop or human, I guess control is going to be kind of too tough, but human collaboration with the machine is where AI and our industry is going to integrate in the near future. Not the future, but in the next 6 months to a year. And believe it or not, it's going to come fast. Um, Current events in the PM world, PMI has been really advertising of AI and PM and that environment. So targeting the control piece of project management is where AI has flaws. You can't tie it, well, you can still tie it at a simpler level to basic data, but once it increases to more complex data, it starts to forget, just like a new employee. And the way you treat AI agents are basically new employees. And we all do that right now. And to me, I see it as a micromanager's best friend for AI. We all have micromanager tendencies. I'm not pointing fingers out, but I know I do, especially with my AI agents. I actually have an AI lab on my laptop, and I try to keep the peace between all of us by looking at them as virtual new employees. Now that's me, and you know the way the way the way I AI is different from anybody else. It's like drinking beer or smoking a cigarette for that way. There's no right or wrong, but it's just we have to stay in the median. That's the way I see AI, and I've always been viewing that as how we drink beer or liquor, but we can't drink beer and liquor during working hours and so forth. So AI has to get to that point. Right now, there's no guardrails. And with no guardrails, project controls is very disrupted. And we don't pausing because anybody can make a web app and create a solution. But when you implement it in the real world, it breaks. Most AI products break in the real world. In production, it's okay. It's acted as a demo. Right now, the issue is taking an AI product out of demo into real world situations. And even I have a problem with that. And I know there's a study out there by Harvard, about 95% of AI projects fail. That 5%, they're probably web apps. I'm using API keys. Now, with project controls comes with IP. IP today is very valuable. It's valuable than knowledge because knowledge right now is free. You can go to ChatGPT and learn something. 2 years ago, you couldn't do that. Now it's so accurate that you have to really take a step back and say, is this true? And now I gotta treat it like a new employee. Okay, you gave me this sentence. I don't think that's true. I need you to verify. So now we're practicing that every single day. Before it was taboo to do that. But now it's really enforced and almost everything electrified, which is sometimes I wish, and I told Becky this at one point, I wish AI has an opt-in, opt-out button on everything we touch that is electrified. It's not. We don't have that. It's being forced in every program, every single software we have, and it's, to me, I just wish we can have that option. But I digress. Any questions so far as why now, pointing out project controls, and why governance is very important when it comes to project controls?
Darrell, I do, for those that aren't US citizens, may not know what DARPA is. It's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, generally overseen by the Army, although it's not necessarily part of the Army. It serves all forces.
Yes, absolutely. And don't go down a rabbit hole of trying to dissect where AI has originated from. You're going to go into a huge rabbit hole, but just understand the basics of AI and that environment.
May I chip in
Mhm.
with? Could you enlarge upon the bullet there? Governance by policy as code. What
Yes.
does that mean?
Ooh, so this is going to be a long discussion, Steve. So vibe coding is popular nowadays. It's like the blue pill to AI or trying to get into AI or being introduced to AI. If you don't vibe code nowadays, a lot of hiring managers are looking at that as, hey, you're not being AI literate. I know the Department of Labor just recently published a AI literacy guidebook for companies to implement. Um, but now it's being enforced for us to be AI literate. So vibe coding is very simple. You ask the AI to build an idea. It builds the idea. However, there's still flaws within that idea. There needs to have human in the loop. Um, Bad behavior, human behavior, and I'm guilty of that as myself. If when I see an AI agent giving me the correct response, I sometimes copy and paste. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna blame myself or put myself down, but that's human behavior. We all want convenience. So having that AI agent to satisfy that convenience, it's really, really tempting to just take
Is he frozen?
Yes.
how that is,
There we go.
how it's
Yeah.
being formed in the governance.
So, what's pounding in my head is, and I think you have touched upon it, Darrell, is this: where are the boundaries and where are the rules for for saying that AI can critically evaluate effectively? And again, just because we say that humans can critically evaluate doesn't mean to say they're all good at it or that we get the right evaluation, but we make attempts at it. And above all, the fundamental, which I've had conversations over and over again with colleagues, is how can AI assess data quality? Because there's all this discussion about data analytics, but the fundamentals of the data underlying that. How does the AI know that the data is in the right shape to begin with? How does it know that it's correctly founded? How can it sort of can it put some kind of risk judgment on the data it's using so that you know it's flaky and it's just carrying it forward and it's telling you so don't trust it too much. Those sorts of areas. And again, we may be digressing, but it's that I worry about with AI that we haven't or people who quote AI and data analytics at me, and I keep on thinking that old adage from computing: rubbish in, rubbish out. And if you've got rubbish data, no amount of analysis is going to magically transform your horrible data into something good. But please carry on.
So before I shed some light or experience with this, I'm gonna send it out to anybody who wants to chime in.
So that's a very interesting point from a data quality perspective. We are looking at work where we're using agents effectively that we teach off the back of a large language model what good data quality looks like. So take a risk register, for example. You could start at a real basic level with, have you got all data quality fields filled or not? And the agent can go and look at that, and then it can ping the owners of those risks to say, you're rubbish, go and fill those fields out. So that'd be one level. And then we're looking at various levels of agents that would kind of culminate in looking at a particular type of risk and then looking across all the other risk registers to find a similar type of risk, and its effectiveness based on the time phased analysis. So I think you absolutely have to start with rubbish in, rubbish out, but there's no reason why you can't use AI to tell you whether it's rubbish or not.
Really amazing conversation. However, taking it a step back, going back to the basics, we don't include that into that process. Right now, vibe coding is so pretty good, not accurate right now. You're able to build something, build a software, but right now we can't really explain what we built, and we can't really pinpoint where exactly it broke. So in order to get to that process, Elson or Marcus, you have to understand the basics of what the AI agent is built off of from the very beginning, because you have to go in and dissect where exactly did the AI agent has gone wrong, and can you explain that as a project controller?
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't referring to vibe coding. Sorry, I was responding to Steve's question around data quality. So we would not be using vibe coding to generate those agents. We're taking I suppose, a more traditional teaching and a large language model to go away and look at data and giving it the learning around what's good and bad, not using vibe coding. So apologies, talking to the wrong question point.
No, don't
If I could,
apologize.
if I
Go ahead,
could
Becky.
jump in though, one of the issues tends to be the fact that as you build your own code to do this type of stuff, most people don't build in anything to check the logic that the code is using. And so what you end up with is the actual agent learning various fallacies.
Mm-hmm.
And that can become very, very problematic and embedded in its analysis. And so unless I check it by building those algorithms to avoid that, at the same time, I can be building future databases that the agent will be using that are based on those logic fallacies.
Yeah, it's
So
another
that's
version of group. It's a bit like groupthink, isn't it, Becky?
It
Maybe?
can be, yeah. Only the problem being groupthink tends to just be for that point in time
Yeah.
of the project or the program. Here it carries over because they continue to use that tool over and over again. And so I just continue to reinforce and build on it. And people do that too, not to discount that. But we have a blind faith in what an electronic tool can do for us, and that becomes problematic also.
Yes.
Yeah.
So taking a step back and staying on track, I don't want my SPI to get out of whack, Steve. So my job as a AI influencer, since I have a YouTube channel as well, is to get people like in this environment and discuss topics like this. Because when I started my GitHub profile for AI and PM, everyone was like, "You can't do that. You're gonna touch data." No, I'm not. I'll use fake data. At this point, fake data is becoming so accurate, I wouldn't even need real data pretty soon. And that's the scary part. But my job of why I started that GitHub repository is to bring people together, because I knew IP was very important. In order to get to real data, because since data is king today, I need to have people like you guys in all aspects of environments. So it doesn't matter what's really focused on is trying to make AI work in project management. I don't care where you come from, what skill level you have. I just want to have a neutral ground to make this better. Take this tool and make this better in project management. So thank you, Marcus and Becky and Steve for chiming in. And I hope anybody out there would actually chime in throughout this webinar as well. And I know Moni one slide in, Steve. I apologize, and it's about
Slide
20 minutes
2.
left. But before we move on to the next slide, any questions so far? All right.
Move on.
So the core shift. So throughout the 2 years that I've been understanding and building AI agents as virtual coworkers, virtual digital workers, I know it's taboo, but we're gonna get used to those type of words in the near future. Not my fault. Blame it on Sam Altman. Well, apologize, Sam, Sam, because he this recent event. But the frontier companies are overhyping AI, and they're not understanding the enterprise side. It's all consumer based right now. But the real world and the AI agent, they must collaborate very naturally, just like we do when it comes to the human work. So as time went on from introducing AI agents, we started to understand that governance and assurance was very important to have. And we instill it when we build a startup or a project or and so forth, down to the business case and the the cost analysis and so forth. So with AI insurance, I'm hoping in the near future that we could actually implement some sort of governance into project management environments that are implementing AI. And I know a lot, I'm speaking out of what I receive from the AI community. Most most projects who are implementing AI, they don't know where to start. And they get into that rabbit hole of paying someone who's done a YouTube channel, done create videos of making an AI art gallery or something like that, and they pay a huge amount of money just for that person to come in and introduce AI, but then it's still flawed in that way. So the key takeaway to this slide is governance and assurance is very important. Just because we are seeing AI as more human-like, we still have to take that control back and say, okay, you're just a tool, but I'm in control. I have agency at all times. Any questions so far? So I'm going to call out the augmentation word. Notice I didn't mention AI is going to take over your job. That's because it's not, and I'm being really 100% realistic when I tell you about this. Right now, yes, it's being really accurate. However, it still has flaws. We have a long way to go. Well, depending on, well, that's that's a rhetorical statement, but nobody knows where we're going to be at in the next 6 months to a year, even me. So I'm presenting to you more as AI as an augmentation, not to replace your job or replace your position or become an AI CEO, which I'm doing a case study on that as well. But it's not the Terminator right now at this point, at this time. So that's why I'm mentioning augmentation instead of replace, because social media is full with that.
Darrell, before you
Mhm.
toss off from augmentation, Ford Motor Company discovered that very issue when they were using AI to replace a bunch of their quality engineers and quality techs on the line, and have had a huge recall based on that. This can be very, very costly when you think that the AI agent is without flaws, or actually will begin to learn a bad pattern based on acceptance of something that it did. And that's what occurred here. The AI agent failed to catch something. It said, well, that's good, so we'll keep doing that. And unfortunately, it's cost Ford Motor Company quite a bit of money right now.
Yes, and that's just the the nice to know nightmares we have with AI today. You know, we go on social media and we see the AI horrors of some somebody married their own AI agent, or you know, the AI companions. AI companions are on the rise right now, and that's very tempting for a human being to be locked into an AI agent, especially now that it has voice and it really sounds just like a human. So uh, that assurance and governance moving forward, especially in project management, I'm hoping, well, I have faith on our industry to implement more governance and more assurance when it comes to AI in that perspective. So as I have been on this journey with AI and project management, PTSD, and autism, I started to understand that human judgment is very important, no matter what. Um, Judgment is very neuroscience, neuroscience and more behavioral science. And that's what attracted me more to Jody and Josh and their work with Neuroplan and building Sarah in regards to AI and PM, because as we implement AI is already artificially behaving like a new employee. It really disrupts our behavior as a human being. So we have to understand how the human brain works at a basic level, not more neuroscientific level, but more basic, and understand that yes, AI is pretty sufficient in giving answers. We still have to fact check it. We can't just take it off the cuff and believe what AI has given us. Someday, but not now. Especially in the real world. And you know, looking at it at that perspective, what if I trust AI for my medications when it comes to PTSD? You know, what if I have an episode and it it tells my daughter that I'm taking Tylenol, but then I'm taking this. So the understanding of real world and AI, to me, that's very important when it comes to these pillars. PMs must understand the machine. They don't have to understand the roots of the machine, but they have to understand that if it's being built, they have to understand the basics, the algorithm, the if it's an API key, if it's not using an API key, if it's installed locally, and does it have IP in regards to company data. It matters now because with IP is I'm calling out conspiracy theories out there, but you know, IP can be very it's being disrupted at this point because when you give an AI agent, you know, ChatGPT, Claude, and so forth, your IP, it takes that IP and it builds a digital footprint of you, and not only you, but your company that you work for, or the company you you are CEO of. So we have to understand the machine and understand just the basic parts of it. And I know Becky has more about this, but if you want to chime in, Becky, you're more than welcome to.
Well, I can give a real world example for anybody who's written a book or a journal article, a journal article. They already have problems with AI having gone out to the sites that manage that for us, that normally pull in funds if somebody heavily quotes your material. They've actually gone in and scraped that stuff out and duplicated it on board their own servers for the purposes of AI answering your questions when you query something on Google or you query something on any format that you can think of, Yahoo, you name it, Bing. And so there's numerous lawsuits in regard to that. So we have to be careful. I can give you another real world example. a company here in Idaho was looking to get a off-the-shelf AI system put in. They had contacted me. I said, well, make sure that they're not going to have access to your intellectual property. First thing they did was ask them that question. They said, oh, well, yeah, we have to have that because we want to make sure the model's continuing to learn. That's how we make it more efficient at our end. Well, the answer to that is no. I lose my ownership of that IP at that point. They have then assumed that ownership. So we need to teach people what questions to ask, what to look for, and to actually have enough governance in the use of AI to protect their IP and also just general business sensitive information. What you certainly don't want is if you're taking your organization public on any of the stock markets to find out that your information, your business sensitive information has been leaked and the value of your stock has either gone up to a point where it's a fallacy as far as what it's worth or that it's worth nothing because it's been disseminated. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into protecting. And as with any software program, there's always the administrator or administrators back doors to any AI tool that you're acquiring.
And one thing we're not calling out, especially to this section, is product risk. When we give IP to AI, it takes that idea and it stores that idea. So as you're building that idea, sorry to say it, but OpenAI, Anthropic is already taking the idea and building it, so they'll get to market before you. So
Right.
the question always comes back and to the seller is, why am I buying this when ChatGPT can do this for me or Claude can do this for me? What makes your product unique? And that's where PMs need to understand the machine because of those critical situations of those factors. I know we have
Exactly.
about 13 more minutes, Steve. Do you want me to move on to the juicy parts or keep going?
Juicy parts, perhaps.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Go ahead, Darrell.
Okay. So AI hallucinates. I call it 10-second Tom. We're watching the movie 51st Dates. There's a guy who has dementia, the way I see it, that he only remembers things for 10 seconds and he forgets it after 10 seconds. The way I see AI is more like 10-second Tom, more of a person who has dementia that way. Not to be rude, but it really is. It forgets, because if you start a conversation today with the topic of schedule management and you ask it tomorrow, it has to start from fresh. So it cannot remember what you actually talked about or discussed yesterday. It still has that issue in short-term memory. So it does forget, it does hallucinate the way we call it today. So from experience in building AI agents and putting an AI product out in the market that defeats the so what factor, or the AI snake oil, as what we call it, is governance has to be included. And I'm realizing that and understanding that every day I build AI. Without governance, it does not work. It works on the consumer side, but to be out in the real world, I believe governance has to be that forefront to build AI products. Any questions so far?
Again, I'll butt in. I'm just picking up all the time that this the word in my head now is Delphi. When you get a group of experts around a table, and then you have you use it's a sort of Delphi form of analysis where you get everybody's different opinions being thrown in, and perhaps we would it might be more benign to think of AI as being maybe that extra that extra pair of eyes or ears or a voice that can examine what there is and provide another input, another perspective, one that doesn't have to be taken. And above all, the real danger is that you don't accept that. You don't have to. You don't have to take that answer, but you can bring it into the conversation. And sometimes having that in other conversations, having a third party in a business meeting who isn't totally wedded to what's going on can come out with an idea that nobody else thought of within the conversation, but which is actually seen to be constructive or a better way of seeing things, or leading towards a solution that hadn't been seen by the group itself. So I can see, but above all, there always has to be this check, this verification of what you're receiving. And I think within a Delphi format, you have the opportunity to say, we hear you, but we don't necessarily accept you. But some of this is good and some of this isn't, but we'll synthesize it into what we as a group of humans are going to do with it. Is it my statement?
Which is a pretty really 100% accurate on the entire thing, on the entire statement, Steve. However, with human behavior, it's disrupted because you have, having been convenient, having the idea of solving that problem that keeps everybody up at night. It's AI puts that in the forefront, and we tend to forget the most important things.
Yeah, real world example from the Department of Defense in the US. They started using AI for strategic tactical type work within various military forums. The Air Force was first. What they found was that in their tabletop meetings where they were doing essentially a Delphi approach, people were defaulting to AI instead of questioning it, just as they would question one another. And so they had to go back and rewrite some of the rules, essentially, of the game of doing the tabletop to inform people that no AI solution set should be accepted absent that questioning. And one of the more critical areas is the part that humans aren't necessarily predictable. So that makes it very, very difficult when you're trying to plan an operation and second guess the way characters are going to act, especially those that we know are not normalized to having a way of acting. So it's very, very important that governance be there.
Yes, thank you, Becky, and 100% all really good and accurate stuff, and thank you. So I know we have 7 minutes left, Steve, but here's the juicier part. So at this point in time, this current day, this current hour, we're experiencing cognitive debt index, meaning we are losing the ability to think for ourselves. We're already having AI build things for us, especially an idea we always wanted to build, but then we tend to forget the thinking part of it. And my work with AI and PM, I'm doing a lot of case studies and this environment, especially when it comes to autism and PTSD and PM work, is the human being really struggles to take a step back and talk to the AI agent and say, okay, now that you've given me this output, can you explain it or teach me before I bring this to my team? That practice, we still have to break that habit. We tend to take the output and believe that output, which is very human-like, human behavior. We're all guilty of it, no matter where you come from, because convenience is really intuned, in the way we live, no matter what side of the globe you're from. So I'm finding data and case studies, technical papers out there that our thinking is being diminished because AI is taking over. Real world example, we don't have to remember phone numbers anymore. not because of AI, but because of technology, of how it's progressing as fast as we're trying to grasp it.
I don't, I agree with this. And in terms of evidence-based analysis, I cannot give you the absolute specifics, but I know it either came out this weekend, either in a newspaper or on the radio. But I think that the generation of school children, this one, they have assessed it to be, I don't know what the correct technical word is, but they're dumber than any previous generation. Year upon year, they have got more academically accomplished and experienced over time. They've done an assessment recently, and they're saying that the kids are not as smart as they used to be. And the attribution is to the use of all this technology and social media. Maybe that was used to reinforce the argument in Australia, but certainly I think this was assessment that was based in the UK. So that chimes very much with what you're saying there.
Awesome. Steve, I'm going to pause my presentation and bring the floor back to you, since we have 4 more minutes and so forth. I don't want to break the time. I value everyone's time.
Okay. Well, have you got? Is there another juicy bit?
That's it. That's what I wanted to close out with.
Okay.
With what's going on with the current AI?
Well, maybe any comments from the assembled multitude? Alan Glasgow, what do you think? You work in data an awful lot, don't you? But it's not AI, is it? Or is it?
No, not entirely. I mean, I found it quite I found it quite a complex discussion, actually. I'm going to look forward to seeing the video back, but I think the 3 takeaways that I was going to say that I've got from this session, but I think it's perhaps have been reinforced by this session. One is, if you're using AI, you need to get AI to do a self-validation and actually advise you when it is giving you information or decision based on fact, or whether it's giving you information or decision based on a judgment or an estimate. I think the second thing, and it links with the first one, is we shouldn't be relying on AI to make a decision. What we should be doing is letting it give you an informed view, and AI becomes like another person in the meeting who actually has a vote. Because somebody said something before, I've sat in a 3 or 4 hour nuclear meeting with 30 people, and one guy sat in the corner who was an acknowledged expert, said nothing. Everybody sort of finished the session, thought we'd come away with a decision, and when the chairman went round and said, this one guy in the corner said, has anybody thought about doing X? And you could suddenly see everybody's face drop and think, why did it take 29 of us to sit here for 3 hours? And he probably knew that answer all along. The third thing that I think it's building on the knowledge you already had, is we shouldn't believe the output to be universally true without question. I think the point at which we do that, we're getting to a very dangerous a very dangerous place. So I think AI is there to inform us, to help get to decisions more quickly. I mean, what we do, we actually record details about time and work execution and put that into an algorithm, and it will then give you forecast, it'll make you a judgment on when you will complete work. But yeah, making the decision is still down to taking the information out. You can see trends, you can see histories, but you still got to it still needs the human to make the decision. I don't know whether that's helpful or not, but I am looking forward to seeing the video playback.
Well, that seems like a pretty good summarization to me. I don't know if you agree, Darrell, do you?
100% agree.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can definitely, have a follow on the webinar on more
Yeah.
of these topics.
Yeah, and again, sewing it more securely into governance practice or the practice of governance, so that I've seen some governance where, at its simplest, and it's not AI specifically, but the results of Monte Carlo analysis are often put into a contract when, in fact, the degree of confidence is far better for the supplier, and they can potentially make a fortune out of that, having been pinned to a pessimistic outlook or a longer term, more expensive solution that they can budget more, but put more budget into it. I think we've got to really turn those sorts of principles that are being sewn into contract, get them out and reconsider them, given the power of AI, but given that it is it is there to inform us. That it is the guy in the corner, the expert in the corner, maybe, but not necessarily the person with the answer. That's the point. But they can maybe divert our thought. Possibly they can even say the unsaid or the unsayable in a meeting, as well, to help move things along. But no, I think if you put your head, maybe you could ask ChatGPT to formulate what the next session could look like, Darrell, and then we'll see what it's like, see what the agenda looks like. But no, so I will, conscious of the time, draw the proceedings with a big thank you to Darrell and to CPM for finding you. They knew where you lived and came and found you. And I think there is grounds for pursuing this discussion even more, because it isn't generally there yet. We do not have hard and fast governance as such to sow into our practice yet with any high degree of confidence or comfort, I think. So anything else you'd like to say, Darrell? I see, is that who's that on the camera there? Do you want to say something? Yes, no, anybody else? Any comments?
Darrell, were
Don't
you
wanna
going to
go on for
introduce the articles?
Yes, as a reference, I'm gonna, Steve, I think you have the link to this presentation. It's
Yes.
open source, so the link will be sent to you guys as well.
Mhm.
And thank you for your time, all of you. Thank you for sitting through this hour. And yeah, looking forward to the next session.
That's great. Well, the next session for us collectively is the 12th of May, I think.
Yes.
And I will announce, I'm pretty sure who the speaker is, but I will go back and reconfirm. That will be announced possibly at the same time that I come back to everybody with an issue of the video and the transcription for today and Darrell's slide set. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you for listening. Thank you for contributing. And I hope to see you again anyway, this time next month.
Sounds good, Steve.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks
And,
very much.
Everyone
see you
take care.
soon.
Stay
Take care.
safe.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Boom. We've gone.